What's happening, people? It's the Solar Kid, and we're back on the other side of the sun podcast. And I have a very, very special guest today. Insert drum roll. Where's the congas, bro? We have
You're in the studio.
Baldo Verdu. ¿Qué pasó, papi? How are you, brother?
All good, brother. How you doing? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. It's nice to finally get you on this platform, because I think you probably would have taken lockdown because you're a busy guy.
Well, not very much now, but yeah, trying my best.
Yeah, so Baldo is a band leader, a master percussionist, leader of the band Tonto Malembe, but also an amazing singer-songwriter with many bands, percussionist in many bands, and one of the hardest working musicians that I know. Well, I don't know about now, but yeah, let's start with that, bro. How's it been, man? Because before lockdown, I know you were fucking gigging every day, every night for years, man.
Yeah, man. Well, now I've been just focusing on doing more music production, basically. So I think that's more that's something that makes more sense at the time, at the moment. But yeah, man, just still working. I confess I wasn't playing as much and producing as much in writing as much as was before, but also at the beginning of the lockdown I wasn't really doing any music or making any music because I decided just to focus on cycling, cooking, eating, drinking, and was trying to be happy. Concerning, I mean, due to this whole crazy stuff that started last year, so I was just like not feeling it. I couldn't handle I don't know, working on music or producing music or writing music or anything like that if I wasn't gonna go to play a gig afterwards, you know what I mean? So that's basically what's been going on.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, now I'm a little bit more active now, just working and preparing everything.
Yeah, because I've known you since like what, 2000 and maybe 13,
15.
14, and since then you've been playing, bro. Traveling the world, gigging, playing with loads of non-stop. I never ever see you take a break.
Never, man. This is actually the first break in my entire life in several years. Like, not even when I was a kid, I wasn't playing gigs. Even when I was a kid, I was playing gigs during my teens and when I was 10 years old, 9 years old, 8 years old. Always, never stopped playing gigs, and
Yeah.
it was always there.
Tell us, that's actually a good place to start. Like, take us back to, so Baldo is originally from Caracas, Venezuela. And
Yeah,
yeah,
born and bred.
yeah, tell me about that, man. What was it like? So obviously, growing up there, childhood, all that kind of stuff.
Well, I come from a very musical family where everyone is a musician. Probably the only two members of my family that are not musicians, an auntie and an uncle, something like that. Everyone, brother, sisters on both sides, my mom's side and my dad's side. Aunties, uncles, cousins, second cousins, granddad, grandmom. I mean, everyone is related to music somehow. So it wasn't my decision even. It was just there, and I think I picked it up naturally, even when I was in my mom's belly. It wasn't my decision probably. It was just there, and when I actually realized I was playing music, I was just like, wow. It was already like lots of years, like 10 years.
Was it always based in like folklore and
yeah, mainly family wise, yes. I mean, I come from a family that were part of several like very important Venezuelan and Afro Venezuelan bands. basically folkloric stuff and stuff like that. And the interesting about that is just that's what I normally had. That's what I normally did when since I was a kid and through the years, even till now. But you know, through the years, I was adding like some other elements. I mean, when I was in school, in high school, I started to be more curious about other genres, and I was really interested in rock and roll, punk rock and funk, especially.
Mm.
It was more like something that was happening because of the influence of my friends and people I was studying with through my school and high school days.
Well, so what was it like? I mean, how was Venezuela at the time? Like in terms of like politically, economically. I mean, obviously, I mean, you managed to go to high school and stuff like that, so you know it must have been okay-ish, right? Or I mean, what was it like?
Yeah, I mean, there was always problems and issues regarding politics and economical stuff and things like that. But it wasn't like it is today. I mean, there was like really hard times and difficult times in my family, especially when I was in my 13s, 14s, and 15s. In my small family, like my dad, my mom, my brother, and myself. But yeah, I mean, it was possible to do stuff still, like planning to go on holidays, leaving the country, and then coming back. I wasn't doing that much because I mean, we weren't like really. It was quite expensive to travel out of the country.
Mm.
But I did a couple of times to play festivals and states, for instance, and things regarding music more than as a tourist or anything like that. So
Yeah.
it was problematic, but not as much as it is right now or at the beginning of the second decade of the 2000s, 2010.
Yeah. So I mean, like your music is it's rooted in like the Venezuelan culture and tradition and Afro Venezuelan music, but I mean, we connected on many different bands, like, you know, especially like on Incubus and, you know, on the rock side of things and like the soul kind. And
Yeah,
I know I've known you always listen to everything, man. You don't only listen to one style of music. You Frank Ocean fan, you know, everything, bro. Nirvana, all that type of shit. So
everything. Yeah.
how did you what I wanted to ask is like, because a lot of the music, you know, when I played with you, it was all political, you know, it was very politically active. And, you know, how did that start? Like, what caused that, like, spark in you?
I think it had to do with the fact that I was actually studying at the time when the whole political thing started in Venezuela with Chavez winning the presidency. I was studying journalism and films, and I was very involved in the student movement. I wasn't at the top or anything like that. I was just part of the protest regarding
Chavez.
media being censored and stuff like that. And I think that actually sparked this political flame in me a lot, like really heavily, because I was really affected in terms of everything that was surrounding me. I was in a private school and private university that was very much involved in things concerning the government and being actively against the government, for instance. So I think uh, me and I can say, I mean, all Venezuelans that have been affected badly or heavily by this situation, not the ones that are connected to the government or have privilege because of being close to the government.
Mm.
Everyone that had to leave the country, everyone that had to struggle somehow because of the situation. I think we learn our lesson regarding politics and what we're seeing right now concerning politics across the globe and things like that. So I pretty much knew in my early 20s what it all was about in terms of politics. I mean, in terms of leftism, right wing things, Marxism, communism, capitalism. So I think that helped me a lot. and I wanted, and I was really political in my band, my progressive alternative.
Yeah, I remember you
Stuff.
showed me some videos. It was kind of like a Rage Against the Machine style, you know, fight the power.
Kind of, not in terms of not being like super angry about things, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, it was more like that in terms of communicating a message. But I've always been really weak about pop music. You know what I mean? I love pop music. That's the
Mm.
only thing I want to do right now. You know, that pop music is like a parasite. It takes from
Yeah.
every single genre, and from funk, from rock, from jazz, from everything. And I always like things like, I don't know, Britney Spears and these kind of things. You know what I mean? For me, it was more like I was this punch. I was always this punch. So even though I was really political and have this band, my mates in my own band, I mean, these guys I studied with and other guys that were the guitarists, they were always like, we can do something good because we put, the Metallica aspect of things, and then you come with your Maroon 5 approach. So I was like,
Mm.
no, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I like Maroon 5, but I
No, I
mean, I
think
was
I think that's what I always liked about like the music that you wrote, especially when I mean I was playing with Tonto Malembe. It was like, you know, rooted. The rhythms were Afro Venezuelan, but then you
yeah,
write the melodies in a very like pop kind of way. You know what I mean? And like I mean that's what people want. They want to dance. They want to get up and move. And like what I like
yeah,
is like you know, people like James Brown, yeah, he got the people dancing, but he was politically conscious. Do you know what I mean? So you'd be saying stuff like, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, but you're dancing to the funk, you know what I mean? You know, so it's not like, fight the power, you know what I'm saying? And I prefer, it's like a nice juxtaposition because, you know what I mean, it helps push the movement in a easy to listen to way rather than just like, you know, straight in your face fucking, you know, just yeah, kill the
yeah.
dog.
That's a very good example because, uh, funnily enough, I was talking about James Brown with a few friends on over the weekend, last weekend, and how he was so influential in terms of pushing an agenda, a political agenda, but at the same time being the busiest man on entertainment, like this showman that was always busy with a lot of gigs and playing lots of gigs and also making everyone dance and making everyone enjoy the music, and dance to the music, especially white folks at the time.
Mm.
And what he was singing about, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't the blues, you know what I mean? It was more the funk aspect of it. And even though he was actually, I don't know, I just want to be a good entertainer, you know what I mean? I've been playing music for so long, like, I mean, more than 25 years, you know what I mean? I don't even remember when I actually started because I was just very young and very little. And I just want to turn people on, to be honest with you. I just want to make people enjoy
And
everything.
that's
So,
what you
so
do,
that's
bro.
I
You-
hope so, but that's why Tonto Malembe was always was political in a satirical way, but still the rhythm section of that band was and still is, because I'm gonna be releasing things soon and starting to get back to that. So it's like really funky, really groovy, and really upbeat to make people dance. I just want everyone dance like it's their last day on earth,
yeah, that
basically.
makes so much sense, man. Makes sense. So what made you come to London then? I mean, like, was there political aspects or was it just out of choice, free choice? Or?
Yeah, I was working for the UN. I was doing my internship as a journalist and as a journalist and filmmaker. Was basically being a reporter and doing stuff regarding the book launches and stuff like that. After 6 months of working on these things, I mean, working for the UNESCO, which is a UN for unis, universities, and colleges. I got robbed on a bus. I was going to my mate's house where I was staying for nearly a year or something like that. I was living with my mate, my best friend, the one that I had the band with. And then I got robbed. There was like four guys that got on the bus, and they basically robbed the whole thing. I mean, the whole bus, and they put a gun in my head. And a lot of people's heads to get their money and stuff like that. Actually, a guy that was next to me was refusing to give his money, and he's thrown away. So he got punched with the gun, and then I was like, wow, like that was the closest that I've been. I mean, I was robbed by, I mean, by gangs and criminals before Venezuela, because everyone is pretty much exposed to that. Manfred was kidnapped once, you know what I mean, like express kidnap.
Yeah, when
It's
you come to
crazy.
a place like that, even like in South Africa, it's like it's almost normal. It's not normal, but you so you know everyone you know has been around shit like that. You know?
Yeah, and and it's, I mean, that was too close. And at the time, I was doing my internship, but also my thesis to graduate. It was about violence in Caracas, and I was really like, I was seeking in by the whole subject. I didn't want to know anything about that anymore. Actually, I didn't even attend my graduation. I went away. So I had a girlfriend at the time. We had a band together, and we were actually thinking about coming to London or going to New York. It was going to be the States or it was going to be Europe somehow. First of all, we're going to go to Amsterdam because I have a friend there, and it was too expensive to come straight to London, too expensive from Venezuela. So we basically we did a trip the year before we moved out of the country. Went to Amsterdam, stayed there for a while with my friend and some other friends, like a tourist visit or something like that. We spent like a week in London to see how things were. With another friend that I went to college with. Then we went back to Venezuela. We finished everything that we had to finish, especially me. I mean, as I was actually graduating and stuff, and we went to Amsterdam, and then after a year we came to London, and it was London because I was always like obsessed with things related to music and music industry. You know what I mean? Like music scene, festivals, Jules Holland, all these things. If you go to the States, you think about SNL, Saturday Night Live, being a guest musician in, and I'm such a massive dreamer. Like I always saw myself on these things, and it really used to really get me excited, and still does. So I just wanted to leave the country. I didn't even know that I was going to be living in London properly, like for years, or actually based in London, and creating music, and making music, and being connected to other people's and other musical realities. But I knew that I was going to be here for a while, at least come around to play festivals and stuff like that. So we made the decision. It wasn't really hard. We just saved some money. I was playing in Venezuela too a lot. Like I never stopped playing music, even when I was actually in university. I always played music. I had like 2 events per week there, and I was making good money and saving my money to come to Europe. It took me 7 years to graduate, even though, I mean, in Latin America we do a bachelor degree, which is 5 years. It took me 7 years because I was always skipping lessons during October, November, December due to the holidays, and touring with my family band and playing gigs and concerts with my band too. So music is all I know. So it's all I wanted to do, but it was all I was doing too. You know what I mean? For me, it wasn't only my dream job and my passion and everything. It was something that helped me a lot to get through a lot of difficult situations in my life. So I basically embrace music. I was music already, but I embrace it and hold it tight and held it tight for as much as I needed to. You know what I mean? So
So like what would your ideal band be then? Like I mean, you're into so many different styles. What would your ideal situation be like? Band, um, drummer, percussion, the whole shebang. Like, in what style would you want to be playing? Or
that's a very good question, because I don't think there's an ideal band for me. To be honest with you, there's ideal bands. Like it can be just one band. For me, just otherwise I'm not gonna be happy. You know what I mean? I'm very like, I'm very curious, you know what I mean? Like, and in a good way, but also in a bad way. I mean, I'm really good at starting a lot of things, but not very good at finishing them. You know what I mean? Like, so it took me ages to finish my family album and release it like last November on the 20th. You know what I mean? Like, so I haven't released the album, the Tonto Malembe album that I have been working probably over the last, I don't know, 10 years.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm focusing on my solo stuff. So I really, I really, I really, I truly believe that I'm just too curious about things. And before I used to be like, because I never felt like it was actually an advantage that I had, even though I know it is, but it was always the way I was. As for me, it was just a natural thing.
Mm.
But I started to feel like it was instead of a blessing, it was a curse or something like that because I
Because it's
couldn't focus.
like too many things, but not one focused thing.
Yeah, and some people used to tell me that they were actually confused. I mean, what's Tonto Malembe? What's your sort of stuff? What's Pinton Konyema? So I was like, it's how I actually breathe, you know, music, and how actually, you know, it's I can't just do one thing naturally. It's crazy, but I have a friend that says there's a saying for that. It's the musician's disease. He says that that's how it's called. But I think it is a disease, like you're not being able to commit to one thing, to one project. I wish I was like, I don't know, like if you see a band, you mentioned Race Against the Machine, like Tom Morello and Zach De La Rocha, these guys just do one thing.
You know, I
One,
I completely agree with you, bro. Like, cause I'm exactly the same. You know,
I know.
because I love so many different styles of music. It's like, what the fuck do you actually want to make? Like, what kind of music do you want to do? I mean, I've
Yeah,
started to like kind of try to focus in a bit more on stuff, but it's like, you know, like when I look at certain people, and something I used to like beat myself up a lot, especially when I was playing in bands with you guys and stuff, is like a lot of the like with the bands we play, like say we're opening up for Wara, we're opening up for whoever, we're playing at some festival, we meet these bass players, and like these guys, that is all they do. They play bass, they focus, and they fucking amazing. Whereas me, I play bass, but I'm a producer, I'm an engineer, I'm playing this, I'm learning keys, I'm playing
you're
percussion.
a singer songwriter too, you know what I mean, and a
You know what
guitarist.
I mean? Like it's like, you know, if you really, really want to be good at something, like all the people that we know that are like, look at Joel. He fucking studies drums and percussion non-stop. You know what I mean? And he's amazing at it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you just want to focus. Sometimes you feel a bit jealous because it's like, why can't I just focus on one thing? You know, instead of
Yeah,
trying to be all over the show and stuff like that.
yeah, it's crazy, and I mean, like, I think that's the reason why I mean, you and me, we click like since the beginning, like because we're pretty much the same
And
in
that's
terms of.
also why we fought so much as well.
There you go. There you go.
That's why we fought, and that's why we click. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy because we had and we still have a lot of things in common. You know what I mean? Like regarding music, you play guitar and you're a songwriter too, but you play bass and you produce. You know what I mean? Like it's this thing about being, you know, taking positions of leadership
Mm.
when it comes to creative that makes you being all over the
Yeah, but
place.
you've got
And
so much stuff that needs to come out, bro. Like, what's your plans? Like, do you have any plans for the future? Are you trying to focus in on anything?
yeah, there's two things that I'm actually very much a conservative, which is food. I'm not very good with trying new stuff. I'm very much like I'm like I focus on one thing.
Arepa con carne, por favor.
There you go, Latin American food or Asian food, but I'm not very experimental when it comes to food, and also music industry in terms of record labels and stuff like that. And I'm not a big fan, even though that's what I've been doing, releasing releasing stuff through the years as an independent. I, I I'm very much like I'm very old school when it comes to things like that. So I would like to have, you know, to be signed with that label, and release my music through a record label. It's also because it's a lot of work you have to do, and I already have a lot of things to do, and I've done a lot of things and gotten on a lot of how can you say that, like projects and stuff like that. So
And you direct videos, you do all that shit as well, edit the bloody videos, and you know, you do so.
Yeah, so I reckon I'm gonna be releasing a few tracks from Tonto Malembe this year, this coming year, this current year. And also I'm gonna be actually focusing on my solo stuff, which is my main, it's my main project, it's a music that I want to be playing the most and producing the most and releasing the most. And yeah, I think so. I've been trying to save, so I have so much music that hasn't been released. I mean, I'm telling you, like 300 songs.
I can imagine. I know I can and some of them I like. I remember there was always sometimes I'm like, Baldo, I love this song, and then you change it, and then you change the whole arrangement and everything of the song. I'm like, fuck, what did you do now?
That's how crazy it is. It's not only having three songs that are very different from each other. Also, I have different versions of the same song, which is too crazy, man. It's a curse. It is. It's not a blessing. It's just crazy how that thing.
Now you know what? You just need someone that can help you get it all down. You know what I mean? And documented. That's the thing. Doing everything yourself. That's the thing.
Yeah, I need someone to help. I need a manager. I do need a manager. We manage it myself, and you can be good at doing everything by yourself. You know what I mean? Like you're just gonna be a little good, a little bit of I don't know how I don't know, like you're gonna have a bit of success if you do managing, writing the music, producing the music, directing the videos. You're not gonna be 100% good at all the things at the same time. And because I've been able to do everything, I haven't been like, oh, I really need to find someone to help me with this, like a manager or someone that puts some money on.
Yeah, maybe that will help, because then the manager can say, this month you're working on this, Baldo, or for this 2 weeks you're working on this project. That's all you focus on. Do this. Next week you do that, you know, and then maybe just to make it a bit easier. But yeah,
and I'm not very disciplined or really like
disciplined in that way. You like to just be.
Today I'm doing this, and tomorrow I'm excited and stimulated about something else. And I'm not, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy, just how I can distract from things that I'm working on.
So I mean, how have you dealt with the lockdown and stuff then? Because I mean, from playing 7 nights a week and touring nonstop every summer all over Europe and everywhere, and then now you're just stuck in one place all the time. How are you coping? Like your mental health, all that type of shit. Are you okay?
Well, at the beginning I was fine, because like I said, I put music to rest for a while, like for a few months. I wasn't doing anything last year from April on, just basically producing and doing this live streaming probably at some point in July or something like that. But I wasn't really. I was like, there's nothing happening, nothing's gonna happen. I'm just gonna be cool about it. I'm just gonna cycle a lot and do all the things. You know what I mean? Like, so actually, I have a really nice lockdown, because I was cycling a lot. I was doing a lot of things on a personal level, of course. And I think, no man, like for me, it was really difficult I mean, not to have gigs. You know what I mean? Like, not, I'm not someone that feels amazing about just not interacting with people and not being out there. You know what I mean? Out and about, and that's basically who I am. You know what I mean? Like, and through the lockdown, I've just been trying to reorganize how things are now. You know what I mean? Like focusing on what I didn't do as much as I was playing gigs before over the last, I mean, 10 years or something like that since I moved to London. 8 years.
Yeah, because I
And I
think
was,
last time I saw you was when I played with you when we played New Year's Eve in Knightsbridge at that place. Yeah.
that day I did 3 gigs, you know what I mean? Like, that was, so I ended up like at 7 a.m. going back home. That was mental. So imagine that, you know, in 2018, I used to play 11 gigs per week.
Yeah.
Like Thursday, Friday, Saturday was they were just like, I mean, 3 gigs at least per day. So I think this helped. This helped me to realize how things really are now regarding, I mean, the digital world, and to kind of like think that this is a good reset in terms of rethinking and relaunching my musical experience, and that's what I've been actually working on, because also it helped me to kind of like figure out how to what was going to be the approach of, of how I'm going to be releasing and delivering and sharing music throughout the world, basically. And is a lesson to be learned in that case for me. Like, wow, you can have all the gigs in the world, you can manage 3 4 places and not necessarily being there and being financially stable, but I can just be going like this. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how much money you're making, how many places you have, the good relationships you have with these places and the owners and the managers. Then if there's no if there's nothing going on, do a pandemia or something like that, just that's the end of it. I mean, you don't have anything.
Done. So do you have any are you spiritual? Do you believe in anything like that? Do you believe in God? Do you follow any religion or
Yeah, I believe in God, but not in a religious way. You know what I mean? Like, I'm from a Catholic family, and I'm very respectful of other people's religions and beliefs. And in my case, I'm really glad that I was actually raised in a Catholic family in Latin America, because that was pretty much related to music too. So, for instance, in Mexico, La Virgen de Guadalupe, the Guadalupe Virgin, it's more like a whole thing than necessarily something that had to do with religion. So, for people, it's something that is truly important, and they actually they're really into that and honoring and they pray and they actually put things
so is there like a ancient or like folkloric Venezuelan religious tradition or what is it?
well, the good thing about that is just because of the colonial aspect uh, of how Venezuela was discovered, and the whole mixed, and we call it syncretismo. I don't know if that's how that works also in English, which is when the whole thing is actually combined. You know what I mean? Religion, culture,
synchronous.
I don't really know. I don't really know the word. Probably that's the word. So in Venezuelan's case, and Latin America in general, it all's pretty much connected. It's pretty much connected. You know what I mean? Like culture, food, religion. So in terms of folkloric music in Venezuela, it's pretty much related to God, the virgins and the saints. You know what I mean? Saint Jones, Saints Peter.
It's not like native. It's more based on the colonial aspects, like the Catholic tradition.
Yeah, the syncretism, like the mix. It has a lot of things to do with Africa. It has a lot of, in terms of the music, you know what I mean, the drums and stuff like that. But when we sing, and what we sing to, beside the people of the town or the hometown or Venezuela, we sing to God, to baby little Jesus. You know what I mean, like to Saint John, Saint Peter.
Really, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's interesting.
crazy. It's crazy. It's
So basically,
someone.
the colonial it's Spain, isn't it? Obviously, the conquistador, and all that shit. Right? They wiped it out and they just, mixed and
Yeah, it was. I think Venezuela. It's Venezuela, Colombia, Brazil, probably Ecuador too.
Brazil,
Not very.
Portugal, no?
Yeah. Not the Spaniards. What I meant to say, it's like the mixture there is way
Okay.
more like anyone can be Venezuelan. You could be Venezuelan. Your wife could be Venezuelan too.
Yeah.
Venezuela. I'm Venezuelan, of course, but anyone with any.
Because of the mixture and the culture and all that.
Yeah, and basically is a Catholic country. But I mean, I don't really practice it. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm from a Catholic family, and that also happens in Brazil. Like I was saying, it's so mixed and so diverse that anyone can be Venezuelan. Anyone can tell you that they're Catholic, but they don't really practice their religion. You know what I mean?
I think what I'm trying to understand is like, because you see, like in Africa, like you have, the tribal tradition and like all the tribal gods and ancestors and stuff like that. And then obviously the colonialists came and brought Christianity and all these other religions, Islam and all that. But then African people still have the traditional gods and stuff that they praise, and that, what I mean, even though some of them might be Christian or Muslim or whatever stuff. So I mean, you're saying in Venezuela it's all just mixed up. There's no like traces of the traditional, like maybe Native, is it Native American or like the tribe?
No. Yeah, it's indigenous people basically.
Indigenous people, yeah.
The original. Yeah, no, not really. The indigenous people and the tribes and they're basically located in the specific regions of the country. You know what I mean? And they're isolated, and it's not something. Yeah, it's crazy. Like not necessarily on purpose, but it's like it's not like Bolivia. You know what I mean? Which is like 90% indigenous citizens. Venezuela. In Venezuela, there's also after the Second World War, a lot of people went there from Portugal, from Spain, from Italy. So it's very much mixed. Like,
oh wow,
it makes like nothing I can actually think of. I know South Africa is really mixed up to, but it's more segregated, I guess.
Yeah, very.
It's more like it's more combined. You know what I mean? So it's really hard. It's really hard to talk about.
So like in your family, you can have people who look like anyone in the world, basically. Yeah.
I have a cousin which is the son of my mom's sister. You know what I mean? It's a very direct family, which is like super white. Like
yeah. I mean that's the same in our in our culture, like in mixed culture, but that's only within our group in South Africa. Like you still have white and black, but then mixed out like that. It's the same. You can have my sister's like, like your complexion, you know what I mean, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's interesting.
It's really interesting, and because especially when you move to a country like this, you know what I mean. When you think about the States, especially now, how segregated that country is, and how people in both sides of the aisle, you know what I mean, they talk about the other one, like the blacks or the whites. You know what I mean? It's like I can't do that because the whites are pretty much like 10, 15 people in my family, you know what I mean? Like, and we live together, and that wasn't a big deal, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a thing, like, so it's crazy.
So then where does the like the Afro Venezuelan culture come from? Were they slaves brought there, or were they Africans already there?
No, the slaves, they were brought for the Spaniards, for the Spanish conquerors.
You know that there's some research that suggests now that Africans were actually in South America long before Columbus came, and they traveled Africa long, like thousands.
I learned about that a few years ago, but I'm not really. I don't know much about it specifically. You know what I mean? Like I haven't done a research regarding that, but regarding the colonial period in Venezuela specifically, yeah, I mean they were brought to the Americas.
Yeah, I suppose like Brazil as well. Brazil is the largest, you know.
Yeah, it's super large. It's massive. They were brought for the Spaniards in our case, in Brazil for the Portuguese conquers.
Mm.
And it's crazy because it's really hard to know. I mean, of course, I have African descent background. Sorry, I'm an African descent. It's really hard to know because in Venezuela, for instance, I don't know the experience in other countries because I'm Venezuelan, but I'm sure it was kind of like the same thing. I mean, there were African slaves from different parts of Africa.
Mm.
They didn't even know how to communicate with each other, so they mixed it up so they couldn't communicate with each other, and I don't know, try to take over, or like, you know what I mean, like. So I'm Venezuelan. I'm Venezuelan, like for I mean every generation, like 5-6 generations. Looking back, but I don't really know exactly where my heritage in Africa comes from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me now. At least, I mean, I understand a bit more because you know, obviously South Africa is very different to that in terms of how, you know, things progressed and how, you know, the effects of colonialism simply because of the separation, you know, that they made. But
Yeah.
I always wonder like what it would have been like if, you know, South Africa had to integrate it would have been the same as Brazil or like Venezuela, you know, in terms of the mixture, because we had everyone there, you know, the Portuguese, the French, German, Dutch, and then the Southeast Asians that were brought, and the, you know, Indians, and it would have been an interesting mix if it wasn't, you know, kept apart.
Yeah, but I have friends that, I mean, they did their internships or they went to study in South Africa, and they say like, wow, South Africa is very much like Venezuela in terms of how society works and functions. And I mean, in terms of this, because in terms of racism, for instance, in Venezuela, it has to do more with
Class.
If you're black and you have a white girlfriend or black girlfriend.
Oh, so there is still. So yeah, like let's touch on that a bit.
It's more like an awkward thing. Like probably if you're white and you have a black boyfriend or black girlfriend, your dad wouldn't be very much on board with that.
Even though the family is so mixed, though.
Yeah. It's more on the surface. It's not like something in your face. You know, I'm not saying it's better racism. So racism is not good at all in any presentation, but it's never something like that. You know what I mean? We even call a like nice in a nice way when you refer to someone regarding how they look or their color of skin or their complex or their weight. You know what I mean? Gordita. You know what I mean? Gordita bella, gordito, which is like fatty.
It's just teasing, yeah. I mean, like, yeah.
It's not an offense. It's not like mi negro bello, you know, my beautiful black man or something. You know what I mean? Like mi negrito. You know what I mean? Like things like that. It's playfulness. It comes out of it's a sweet thing to say to someone else. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
There was a movie I saw that came. I don't know if it was. I think it was from Venezuela. Pelo Malo. About the hair, you know, which is always an issue. You know what I mean? Having good hair, you know.
That's the kind of racism that exists in Venezuela. Like you have pelo malo, like you have bad hair because your hair is like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's no good hair. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of thing that you encounter in terms of race and racism in Venezuela. Not something very aggressive like the United States, for instance. You know what I mean?
But I suppose it's covert though, because even if someone does say mi negrito and stuff like that, it still is, you know, I mean, to a black person who's not from Venezuela, you know, you're calling them by the color of their skin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So
you know, like with Luis Suarez and what's his name in the
Patrick
Evra, yeah. You know, he basically said the same thing, but I say in South America we don't. But still, you know, when you're calling someone by the color of their skin,
but Luis is not a nice man. He's not a nice man. So I think he did it on purpose. He did it on purpose. He's a innocent man. He's not a good, he's not a good person. So I'm sure he was playing with that, and then but in South America we do this. You know what I mean? He was just trying to do that. But yeah, I mean, like, it's crazy because culturally speaking, so when you come to a place like this, all these things are like,
in your
like in your face, and of course you think about Europe in terms of a very much open-minded society, and it truly is, because in my case everything has been just welcoming. You know what I mean? Like, every person I know, every situation I encounter, the way I look is, it has always been playing on my favor. You know what I mean? It's never been the other way around. But I know it has.
It would have been different if you went to New York.
Probably, yeah, absolutely. But I know it has been for the people, so it's such a delicate thing. You know what I mean? Like, you can't. You need to be like, you need to be aware of where you actually are in terms of these things, and you can be just like diminishing about things that you haven't experienced, but also you have to be respectful how the environment that you're actually living in now, in my case, how things work in that environment. You know what I mean? And be respectful about it.
Yeah, just to be respectful of your surroundings and that kind of stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
And also, the longer you stay here, the more you understand the culture. You understand how people are, like the slang, the things they say, how it is. You know.
I mean, I love London, man. You know that we've talked about this many times. Not necessarily I'm talking about the UK, but I like the UK in general too. But in terms of cities, and I've been all over the place touring and playing gigs. There's no place like this one. You know?
Yeah, London is dope, man. I love London as well. But yo, just on to the next segment. I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm gonna say when I something, and then you complete the sentence for me. Yeah. So when I wake up in the morning.
That's a very sad answer I'm gonna give you, because lately I've been just on my phone all the time.
At least you're being honest, bro. At least you're being honest.
Very sad. It's very sad, and I know it's a bad thing.
No, but it's cool. It's
just checking everything regarding if I have work to do, and someone has contacted me in terms of, you know, being on top of things.
Okay.
Especially regarding business and money. You know what I mean? Like, I'm on that, like my emails, my social media stuff, to see if someone contacted me. So it's not a good thing, especially now with this whole episode of COVID and stuff. Okay. Sadly, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is go to my phone.
Okay, when I feel angry.
Wow. What do I do, you mean? Well, I try to play music and listen to music too. I think that actually helps me to go through that feeling.
Okay.
Because I can be in my mind a lot, and that's not a good thing either. I can be overthinking things and being, even when we have some issues in the band. I mean, like, it's that something that really affects me. I think I need to work on that. When you ask me about
we're very similar in that way, you know what I mean? Because we live in our minds a lot of the time. Yeah, man. And we are strong-minded people. You know what I mean? Like, we're very much we're very faithful to who we are, and this is where I'm standing. You know what I mean? I'm not giving up on it. Nothing wrong with that, man. As long as you know, you can get past it and, you know, move on.
Yeah. I learn a lot about that, and I learn a lot about it because of you, because of Mark, you know, in Animans, and so that guy can just go through. He can just, I mean,
shout out.
Really, no, he can, yeah, absolutely. He can be like, you know what, if I have to talk to this guy, we have an issue, and talk about for the sake of music, talk about it for the sake of music, getting together, I would do it. He's like that, and
love him, man.
You know what I mean? That's a nice way, a good way to be. And especially back in the days, like 10 years ago, like, was just very like, it's just, I think it has a lot to do with me, with my family issues, you know what I mean? Like losing my mom and coming from a Latin American family where there's a lot of gossiping and no one being, you know,
Oh,
in your face, you
yeah.
know what I mean? Like being real, you know what I mean? So I always be, I gotta be real. I gotta be super real. Like I can't be like, no, I have to be like in your face, even if I'm right or wrong, you know what I mean? Even if I'm not right. And yeah, but it's nice to humble yourself, and this is pride. Pride is a weakness, man. It's just not,
Yeah.
it's not, it's a weakness.
So let me say, when I feel hungry,
Dude, I eat everything, the whole thing. I eat like there's no tomorrow. And I know I don't look like I eat a lot, but I do eat a lot. And when I feel hungry, you know what I mean? Like it's funny because I'm such a hedonist. Like I live for pleasure, for instant pleasure, so much that I remember when I didn't have much money, and it's like tomorrow I'll see what I'll do. Now I'm gonna spend all this money in this amazing food. It
yeah,
doesn't matter. I'm never cheap about pleasure. You know what I mean? Like going out and eating a nice dinner with my girl, or something like that. You know what I mean? Or being on a date, and I mean, I live for that things. I mean, it's pure hedonism.
I appreciate your honesty, bro. Just quickly before I start wrapping up and that, I just wanted to like touch very quickly, man, like because I wanted to ask you a bit about your mom because obviously your label and everything is Carleona Records, and it must have been like how old were you when your mom passed?
Was 21,
Yeah,
21,
so it
22.
must have been like devastating, bro. Like,
Yeah, man. I mean, that changed my whole mentality, man. I think I was lost because I was all over the place as an adolescent too. Like studying engineering and not really being good at it, but also hating that stuff. You know what I mean? Not being good at maths, but I didn't like them either. I still don't like them. And it's crazy to say that a situation like that helps you to improve yourself and to grow up faster, or you become, I don't know, like an innocent person. In
mm,
my case, I was always going to make the most of a situation like that on a positive level. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I don't understand people that become uh, that do awful things to other people. Even if it's a minimal thing like being, I don't know, being rude, or blaming others or trying to attack others because they, oh, I had a really difficult situation in my life. So that was devastating, man. That's when I went through the dark side, into the dark side, and it took me 3 years to come back from that. You know what I mean? And it helped. Music helped me a lot. I hold on to music for these 2 3 years, and I was thinking recently, like a couple of years ago. So I was really lost, like, but I never thought about, doing drugs, or being an alcoholic, or drowning myself in alcohol, or
mm,
having sweet thinking about suicide or anything like that, because it was really fucking hard. And I never had these thoughts, like these self-destructive thoughts, because I was never like that. But it's not that you're not like that, because you can start experiencing things like that when you feel like you're really lost. But it's probably also because how I was raised, and my upbringing, and but also because of music, because music didn't let me think about anything else, because
mm.
I was just all music, really really tight. So that was really heavy, man. That was the biggest loss of my life, like just like that. And still, I really miss my mom, like very much, like like crazy, man.
No, I can
So
imagine.
yeah, and it's pretty much my music too. Like you
So
can
would you
see
say
that.
that would you say that like music is your way of dealing with everything, like your expression, your soul, your dealing with
Absolutely,
stuff?
yeah, absolutely. It's not just my passion, or something. I'm good at, or I'm talented with musical talents or anything like that. It's been my way to survive through the years, and to survive these crazy things that happen to everyone in life. You know what I mean? Like, music has everything and anything and all of those things to me. You know what I mean? Like, it's I breathe music. You know what I mean? I'm always like playing music or music or making beats and making melodies. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
Yeah, well, what I'm gonna do is I'll make sure that I share as many links as possible as I can on this video so people can find out more about you, bro, because people need to get to know about the man and the music, yeah, and Tonto Balembe, Baldo Verdu, all the many bands that you've played in, because it's an amazing thing to experience. Obviously live, you know, if you ever get to see this man live, it will be way better. But in the digital age, I'll share you know, all the links and stuff. And bro, honestly, thank you for your honesty, man. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being with me. Is there anything that you want to add, like final words or anything you want to share with the people before we?
I'm really proud of you. You know, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all these things you're doing, being a family man, and still actually not pursuing your dream. Just like, you're not pursuing it. You're living it. You know, I mean, since I remember, and since I met you, and way before that, since I met you. So, and I don't know if I could be as good and on the musical things. You know what I mean? So much as you are, having, like, I mean, like 3 kids and having your own family. You know what I mean? Because till now I've just been on my own. You know what I mean? It's really easy to do things like that. So I really appreciate that, because, you know, I really appreciate you and respect you a lot, and admire you a lot. So thank you for having me.
Blessings, bro. People, this has been The Other Side of the Sun, Baldo Verdu, and we are out.